Hello everyone, so this video I want to show you some tips and tricks, and then I'm just going to go through some reminders and maybe some new knowledge and tips for you to go through before we start our video playlist this week. Then I have about 8 JPEG images to go through, so 8 tips to go through. So let's get started. Okay, so the first tip is, I've mentioned this before. If you have any problems with your brushes or alphas or any problems that you have in ZBrush, maybe for example you use a number 6 brush, supposed to be like this, and then you think that it's not working for any reason, maybe it's becoming like this, just press brush and then go and press reset brush. You will solve most of your problems. So if it still doesn't work, you should close your software and open again. But most of the time, if your brush has any issues, you jump between the hotkeys number 1 to number 9, you shouldn't have any issues. And if you just want to go back to default settings, a very quick way, brush reset all brushes. Very efficient, and it helps you no need to close the whole software and no need to go and look for all the alpha. What kind of alpha is this brush using? What kind of stroke is this using? No point memorizing all that. Okay, so you can play around. After you play around, you want to go back to default, reset all brush. All right, next tip. Okay, when do we separate different subtools or mesh in ZBrush? So no one actually asked this, but I just want to go through this because a lot of students, when they start ZBrush modeling, they tend to group a lot of things together. So for example, if I were to look at this barrel, well, this barrel very easy. We have the wood that is already on another base mesh, and then we extracted the metal from there. So the metal and the barrel is actually a different object, a different texture. So it makes sense that we should always separate our subtools when it's a different material or texture, or when it's a different object. This is a key to remember when you're modeling, not just in ZBrush, but basically for any modeling software. If you're in Maya, you should probably model like this also. If you're in 3D Max, probably like this also. So it's very easy for us to remember this way. So there are times where you may need to weld them together, but I'm teaching this more for film and animation purpose. So unless you're doing game modeling, most of the time you should separate it like this. And even if you're doing game modeling, you can still model like this, and then you can find other ways to lower the topology or find a lower polygon mesh, and then just project the high definition mesh into the low definition mesh, and then you'll be able to get the look of the same material this way. Okay, so it's very important that we remember this. Different material or texture, give it a separate subtool. Different object, separate subtool straight away. Okay, so we look at a few examples, okay, to really learn about this. So example 1, we have the demo soldier that is in ZBrush. So every single part is different. This goggle, the shoulder skin, shirt, vest, backpack, shoulder guard, belt, wristbands, glove, knee guards, boots. Everything is a different subtool. It's very important, guys. You may think that this is why is Alfred talking about this? This is like we already know this, right? But no, a lot of people, when you're new to ZBrush, you don't actually apply this. You don't actually do this. So for example, a human head, you do the head, and then the eyes is separate, the gums are separate, and then the gums itself, the teeth on the gums are separate. So even the gum and the teeth is separate. Yes. Why is gum and teeth separate? Because they are different materials. Okay, so we have to be very clear about this. Why gum and teeth is separate? Because they are different materials. And then once you see a different material, different texture, different look, we should just separate them. It will be much easier for you, and the definition will be much better. I can tell you, if you separate the teeth and the gum, there are some modelers, they model the gum and the teeth together, but I can tell you it doesn't make sense. It's not as efficient. The end result is not as good. So if you do the way that I teach you, the different material or texture, you just separate a subtool. Different object, you just separate a subtool. It will make the most sense. Okay, it will be the most efficient to model also, and your end result will be much better. Okay, Example 4, we look at this gun, all the different colored parts. This is a demo project in ZBrush also, the default one. And then you can see why did the person model this separate all this? Because if you don't separate it properly, you how do you have the separation after? If you ever dismantled a rifle before, the rifle is made out of a lot of parts also, like actual real life rifle. So you have to study different objects, study different materials, study different how people build or engineer the parts together. Then we would have the idea of how to become a good modeler, and it's very important. And I hope you guys will learn that. Okay. Final example. Okay, shoulder guard, 7 separation. So top piece, middle big metal piece, these 2 twin metal piece, the lower guard 1 piece. So everything is a separate piece. Then for what I'll do, I'll put all the screws on one layer. So you may create the IMM screws on separate layer first, and then you group them all up, and then you can merge them down. Okay, or you can just leave them as group. It's okay. And then a big screw, I'll leave it on a separate group. So why we do it like this? Gives you the most control. So every one of these separate parts in terms of ZBrush. Okay, this is not a ZBrush image. This is a real life image. But we should always model using a real life reference. Okay, then we will be able to really learn the real life material and how we apply it to modeling in ZBrush. So if you look at all these intricate details and in the modern art and the professional level of ZBrush artists nowadays, it's actually not easy. So you may be able to create all these creases. You want to make it hard surface, and then it has the right thickness and the right sharp areas, and then the rest of the areas is kind of smooth. You need to learn this, and it will take a while. It will be easiest and most easy to control and to deal with all the edges. So for example, if I look at these edges, if you ever try to model this in one whole piece, I'm gonna laugh at you. I will be the first one to go and laugh at you because I already told you not to do it. This is very obvious that the manufacturer created separate pieces. Why did the manufacturer create separate pieces? You think they are stupid? Why can't they just create one whole piece themselves and put it here? Because that is how it's meant to be. How do you manufacture one whole piece like this? It doesn't make sense. How do you have the overlap and then the air is able to go in here? The olden age soldiers, they put overlapping armor. So there's overlapping armor below, and then there's the part that is above that overlaps it. That is what makes an armor strong. That is what makes sense. Just because nobody go and look at your model and then go and rotate it upwards and try to see whatever is below doesn't mean that you can cheat your way through. It will become very obvious, and you may not be used to the quality of standard of the professional ZBrush artists these days, but I can tell you it's very obvious, and we need to avoid that. When you know that the piece is overlapping, you model it separately, and you jolly well do it separately. Do the thing that makes more sense. Do the right thing that I teach you, and then it will be the easiest for you. Alright, so I hope you really understand this. I don't think I want to spend the time to go into ZBrush to do a demo like this, but too many times I've seen the others that are new to ZBrush. If they try to look at a shape, the first thing they'll do, they'll model this as one whole piece. Worse, they may even join this to the whole character. So they have the character that is built already, and then they'll say, oh, I'll use a number 1 brush, and then I'll start adding volume. Number 1 brush, and then number 5 brush here, and then we try to carve in, and then comes a crack. And then so essentially this whole blue piece is one whole subtool. And it just looks bad, guys. Like if you try to do this, okay, if you're new to ZBrush, maybe you make some mistakes, but after I teach you, try not to do that. But seriously, when you do this, it looks bad. This volume that you just created, it will never look good. It will never look crisp and sharp, like this hard surface that we want to get on all these edges, and then you will never get the air that is going in, the empty space that we want to see in our model. Okay, so these are all very important, and it's very important that we know about how to separate different subtools and mesh in ZBrush as and when we need. Okay, so I hope you guys understand that. Okay, next tip I want to talk about sometimes where Dynamesh is not working. Okay, so always look here if you notice that something is not working. So this area here is like the ZBrush status bar. It tells you a lot of information. Okay, so for example, sometimes there may be hidden mask areas on your model. So you unmask it, press a Control left mouse click, drag on the canvas, and make sure all the masks are cleared. Then you'll be able to Dynamesh again. So this might be the one of the small problems where why your Dynamesh is not working, and then you will not see a change in the points. So sometimes you're a beginner, you'll be like, hey, I re-dynamesh a lot of times, but why didn't it change the points? Please look here, okay? Please look at the ZBrush status bar where it tells you the information and what is going on and whether it's working right. If something is not working right, you are not getting more points, you should know yourself because you should check your model. All right. Another way that Dynamesh is not working, I think that I can classify this as being a bug. Okay, this will be when you try to Dynamesh on the same mesh and then there's not enough changes on the model to justify the software, and then the software thinks that you are just not really trying to re-dynamesh the model, but actually you are, but he doesn't know that you're trying to re-dynamesh this. So you when that happens, when you try to off and on Dynamesh, it doesn't work because there isn't any changes applied. So what you need to do is you just apply a smooth brush. So I'm using a smooth brush. You hold down shift and then you get a smooth brush and you just apply a little bit of smooth on the sphere, on your object itself. Then after you apply this one brush stroke, you will be able to Dynamesh again. So because you didn't apply any brush strokes, it doesn't allow you to Dynamesh. So I think I'll show you this. So let's say my model now is 32 resolution, and I can re-Dynamesh it again. Sorry, let me delete off the subdivision first. Okay, never mind. Let me just open another sphere. Okay, 32 resolution. Let me change it to 216 resolution. Okay, so for the first Dynamesh works, right? You saw the point change from 3000 to 125,000. So the first Dynamesh is working. But now, what if I want to change it to 300 resolution? Will it still work? So I off and on again. Oh, doesn't work. See? So this is the bug I'm talking about. You didn't make any changes, but you still want to Dynamesh. So if I want to change to lower, please. I want to go to 128 resolution. Please give me Dynamesh. No, the software doesn't change. The point doesn't change. Why? You need to apply one brush stroke here. Okay, so please give it one brush stroke. So the software knows that you made a change. Then you'll be able to Dynamesh. Okay, so I'm just gonna give it a little bit of smooth just now. You can just do a little bit. Then, okay, this change is enough for the software to register. And now you can Dynamesh whatever resolution you want. So just now we are at 200 something, right? So now I'll change it to 336. Bam. I changed the Dynamesh resolution again. Okay, so I think I'll stop here. Then I think you understand the different tips that I talk about over here, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.